Mr. Armstrong, this is your clock movement back together here. I'm sure I've shown you some bits and pieces and pictures and so on. I'm going to explain how the striking side works here very quickly. So, in a general sense, and this little piece is hard to see, but that little piece right there is sort of a long triangular piece, and it's called the gathering pallet. This piece that I'm moving now is called the rack, and this piece, which is shaped sort of like a snail shell, is the snail. So it's a rack and snail. These are lifting levers, and these are all parts to do with the strike. Inside the clock movement, there's one gear that has a little pin. You can just see the end of it right there. And there's another gear up in the front here that has another pin on it. And right now, after the clock is done striking, that pin is against this arm, which, when you follow it up, is attached to these levers right here. So what happens is, as your minute hand turns, I'm going to turn it manually, you'll see that these levers right in here start lifting up. There's a little pin, there are two of them on the back of this minute hand shaft, one for the half hour and one for the hour. And right now we're approaching the hour, so those levers are lifting up, and it's going to start lifting this lever up, which releases that pin, but the pin in the front is going to get caught on this lever right here. And then when the pin on the back of the minute hand shaft here lets that lever drop off, it starts to count. And it counts however deep this rack has fallen onto this snail. So if it hits it, I showed you how this is snail shaped. Up in here is 1 o'clock, and at the lowest point, the deepest point, that's 12 o'clock. We're probably at 4 or 5 o'clock right in here. But however deep this rack falls, that's how many times this device counts. So we're going to watch up in here and in here. So as the minute hand approaches the hour, those levers lift up. You can see this lever lifting right here. And then it releases. That's called the warn. The clock is warning itself. It's going to start to count. And this continues to lift up. And the rack has just fallen onto this part of the snail. And then as it all goes across and the lever gets dropped, it starts to count. So the gathering pallet is picking up the rack, and it counts that many times. I'm just going to set it off manually here real quick. We can watch this work again. And one, you can see the hammer in the back here picking up and being dropped. This is called a rack and snail strike. The advantage to this over the other kind of strike system called the count wheel is that this can be set by going backwards, and it always knows what time it is. So as this goes, as you set the clock, you're going to set the clock by moving the minute hand backwards, and it always knows how many times to count. Because right now the hour hand would be moving along with this proportionally. And we're going past. So right now you can see that the rack would be dropping quite a bit deeper. And I'll show you this. Try to keep my fingers out of the way. And now the rack will drop to the deepest spot. That's going to count 12. And there we go, it starts counting. And the hour hand would be pointing at the 12 right now if the dial were on. So again, this is called a rack and snail system. It's been designed for hundreds of years, and it's designed to be set by moving the minute hand backwards, not forwards. And it will correct itself. All right, there you go.